Captain Ronan Vex stood still as the alien general placed the collar into his hands. The room was quiet, cold, and filled with soldiers, both human and alien. Ronan had just returned from a brutal victory. His squad had won a key battle in the Threxian War, and this was supposed to be his reward. 2 alien girls, twin sisters, stood before him. Thin, shaking, barely clothed. Their blue-gray skin was bruised, their hair was long, tangled. One looked at him with wide, terrified eyes. The other didn't even lift her head. "They are yours now," the alien general said, smiling. "Do what you want. They are trained. They won't resist." Ronan didn't move. His fingers tightened around the collar. It had a small control chip used for punishment. Pain. Control. He looked at the 2 girls again. They didn't speak. They just stood there, like broken statues. "Take them," the general said. "You've earned them." Ronan looked him straight in the eye. "I didn't fight to own slaves." Some of the alien officers laughed. One elbowed another. Humans, always acting noble. But Ronan didn't care what they thought. He tossed the collar onto a nearby table and walked past the girls. "You 2, come with me." The twins looked at each other, unsure. "I won't hurt you," Ronan added, his voice calm. Slowly they followed him, bare feet tapping softly against the metal floor. Back on his ship, Ronan gave them a blanket each. He handed them food packs, water, and a small heater. "This is your room," he said, pointing to the clean guest cabin. "Rest, eat. No one will touch you here." Still, they didn't speak. He stepped out and closed the door. He leaned back against the wall outside, breathing hard. What had the galaxy become? Wars were one thing. Slavery was another. He went to the control room and sat in silence. Through the window, he saw the stars moving, quiet, peaceful. But his thoughts were not. He remembered the way the girls looked. Young. Maybe no older than 20. Maybe less. They had names, families, lives before the war crushed them. Hours passed. He barely noticed sleep coming. Until a soft sound broke through. A knock. Light. Hesitant. He opened his eyes. Standing at the door of the control room was one of the twins, the one who had looked at him earlier. She was barefoot, holding the blanket tightly around her. She walked forward slowly, lowering herself to her knees. "Stop," Ronan said, standing. "You don't need to do that." But she stayed down. Her voice was quiet, broken. If we don't please you, they will take us back." Ronan knelt in front of her. "Who said that?" "All of them," she said, her head still down. "That's how it always is." He gently placed his hand on her shoulder. "Not here, not with me." She looked up at him for the first time. Her eyes were deep violet, full of fear. But behind the fear, there was something else: confusion. Hope. He helped her stand. She was shaking. "What's your name?" he asked. She hesitated, then whispered, "Sira." Ronan nodded. "And your sister?" "Talai," she said. "She doesn't speak, not since they took us." He felt something tighten in his chest. "Go back to her," he said softly. "Stay warm. Eat, sleep. Tomorrow we talk." "More." She didn't move. "Please," Ronan added. Finally she nodded, turned, and walked slowly back down the hallway. Later that night, Ronan sat in the control room again, staring at the message he had typed but hadn't sent. To Earth Command. "I have been given 2 alien captives as a reward by our supposed allies. Request immediate guidance. Request asylum for the girls if possible. Their lives are in danger here." He didn't press send. "Not yet." Suddenly the door opened again. Sira stood there, not shaking this time. "She's asleep," she said. "Good," Ronan replied. "You're not like them," she said. "You gave us food, warmth." He looked at her. "No one deserves to live in chains." She walked into the room slowly. "They won't let us stay with you, not for long, I know," he said. But I'll figure something out. Sira looked down, then back up. Why would a human care about us? Ronan didn't answer right away. He stared out the window. The stars didn't judge. They just watched. I didn't fight this war to become a monster, he finally said. I fought so people could live. Free. Sira stood quietly beside him, not speaking. Not afraid, for the first time. She wasn't trembling. The next morning, Ronan entered the guest cabin quietly. Taily sat in the corner, arms wrapped around her legs, eyes staring at nothing. Her sister Sira sat beside her, brushing her hair slowly with shaking hands. They both looked up when he entered, but neither ran. That was something. I brought real food, Ronan said, placing 2 warm trays on the small table. Not rations this time. Eggs, toast, fruit jelly. Sira gave a small nod. Thank you. Taily didn't move. She looked thinner than yesterday, almost hollow. Ronan placed a soft towel and clothes on the bed. You're safe here. You can shower, change. I'll step out. Sira whispered something to her sister. Taily didn't respond. Her eyes flicked toward Ronan, then away again. He left the room and closed the door, heart heavy. They were like ghosts alive but barely holding on. While they ate, he reviewed his ship logs. The alien officers had access to the surveillance system. He disconnected all cameras near the guest cabin. He knew it would raise questions. But he didn't care. He turned when he heard footsteps. Sira stood there again, clean now, wearing a soft tunic. Her face looked calmer. We don't know how to be anything, she said, except what we were told to be. You don't need to be anything, Ronan said. You just need to heal. Tears formed in her eyes. She quickly wiped them. Why? Are you kind to us? He thought for a moment. Because no one else was. A loud beep came from the main console. A message from the alien station officers. Report to Bay 4. Entertainment Council requests your presence with the reward. Ronan's jaw clenched. He looked at Sira. Stay in this room. Lock it behind you. Her eyes widened. Why? What's wrong? They want to show. Proof. That I'm using you. I'll tell them no. But they may not take it well. She stepped forward. If you say no, they'll take us away. He didn't answer. But he was thinking the same thing. Bay 4 was lit with bright purple lights. Alien officers sat around in silk robes, drinking, laughing, watching. General Harnack, the same officer, who handed over the twins, raised a glass. Ah, human. Come, tell us how the gifts pleased you. Ronan didn't smile. He stood straight. I have not touched them. I won't. The laughter stopped. The room went quiet. Another officer stood. Is this a joke? We gave you the best flesh from the conquered twin sisters. That's rare. I'm not interested in slaves, Ronan said coldly. I don't hurt the innocent. General Harnack's eyes narrowed. Then perhaps we gave them to the wrong species. I think so, Ronan said, turning to leave. But before he reached the door, the general called out. You refuse your gift? Very well. They will be returned to the training halls. Ronan froze. The general continued. Unless you entertain us. Just once. One show. One moment of dominance. Just enough to prove your strength. Then maybe we let them stay. Ronan turned back, rage burning in his chest. They are not animals. The general smiled. Then they will be treated worse than animals. Ronan stormed back into his ship. Sira ran to him. You said they'd try to take us. He nodded. I won't let them. But how will we leave? She asked. He pulled up his terminal. I'm sending a message to Earth. Command again. A full report. I'll demand asylum for both of you. Sira's voice broke. They won't wait. They'll come for us soon. He opened a maintenance hatch near the engine room. It was tight, dusty, but hidden. Stay in here, he told her. Take your sister. Don't make a sound until I come back. Sira hesitated. They'll know we're gone. I know, Ronan said, but they won't find you. She climbed inside, helping her silent sister follow. Before Ronan closed the hatch, Sira grabbed his wrist. Why? She asked again. Why risk everything for us? He looked her in the eyes. Because someone has to. Hours later, Ronan checked the system logs. The alien officers were already scanning his ship, looking for traces. His access code was marked for revocation. Then came a ping. Earth command. No immediate extraction available. Situation unclear. Hold position. He cursed under his breath. Of course. Just then, an alarm rang. His door lock flashed red. Unauthorized override. Ronan grabbed his sidearm and rushed toward the guest room. The door was wide open. The blanket was on the floor. No one inside. He ran toward the engine room toward the hatch, but it was already open. Ronan's heart pounded as he stared at the hatch. Empty. Silent. Cold. The words scratched into the metal. Taken burned into his brain. He didn't speak. He didn't curse. He just moved. First, he locked the ship down. Then he scanned the logs. Internal sensors disabled. External scanners jammed. His ship had been hacked while he sat waiting for Earth's help. And now the girls were gone. He tapped his wrist. Computer, run bioscan. Search for 2 non-human life forms, female, class Erexi. Scan complete. No Erexi life forms detected on board. They weren't hiding. They weren't in the vents. They had been taken off-ship. And the only place they could be now was the pit. Ronan closed his eyes for one long breath. The pit wasn't a prison. It was worse, a private underground auction below the alien station. No cameras, no rules. Only the rich, violent, and sick were allowed to attend. You couldn't buy your way in, you had to be invited. And Ronan had seen enough war to know some people didn't want to own slaves. They wanted to break them. He slammed his fist into the console, then grabbed his coat, his blaster, and something older, a small human device from before the war. Something the aliens didn't understand, an optical cloaker, outlawed, forgotten. Perfect. In the dark alleys of the station, Ronan moved like a shadow. He passed neon-lit lounges, gambling dens, silent guards with glowing eyes. No one stopped him. He found the pit's entrance behind a sealed cargo bay. 2 tall reptilian guards stood outside, heavy weapons on their backs. They weren't scanning IDs. They were scanning for weakness. Ronan didn't slow. He walked up. Straight and calm. One of the guards hissed, "You don't look like a guest." "I'm here for the twins," Ronan said. The second guard's eyes lit up. "They're popular. Bidding starts soon." "I'm not bidding," Ronan growled. He raised his arm and triggered the cloaker. His body shimmered, then vanished. Guards shouted, weapons rising. Too late. Ronan slammed one into the wall and ducked under a plasma shot. He swept the leg of the second guard, then hit him with the back of his blaster. Both dropped. He ran through the door. Inside the pit, the room was full of noise, laughter, screaming. Lights blinked overhead. On a small raised platform stood 6 captives. In the middle, Sira and Talai, chained, barely dressed. Forced to kneel. Talai's eyes were wide, darting. Her mouth still didn't speak, but her fear said everything. A short, fat alien with golden robes raised a paddle, opening bid 10,000 credits for the set. Virgin sisters, young, fresh. Royal blood, we think. The crowd roared. Ronan felt a cold fire in his veins. He scanned the room. 20 armed guards, hidden snipers. 2 exits. No time for stealth now. He took out a small sphere from his belt. Pressed the core. EMP activated. Boom. The lights flickered. The bidding screens shut down. Panic spread. He threw off his cloak, aimed. His blaster and fired. Guards scattered. Shots flew through the room. Ronan moved fast, accurate, deadly. One shot. Two. He cut through the guards like wind through dust. Sira screamed, covering her sister as sparks rained down. Ronan jumped on stage, blasted the chains, and caught Talai before she fell. "I got you," he said. She looked at him with wide, grateful eyes. But behind him, one of the alien bidders raised a long black weapon. Ronan turned. Too late. The blast hit him in the side. Pain exploded through his ribs. But he didn't drop. He fired back, hitting the bidder in the chest. Smoke filled the stage. "Hold on to me," he told the girls. He dragged them through the rear exit. The guards were coming. Alarms blared across the station. He reached the lower cargo lifts, smashed the panel, and forced the door open. They dropped 2 floors straight onto a service level full of old junk and forgotten machines. Ronan coughed blood. His side burned. "Keep moving." Sira looked at him, tears running down her face. "You're bleeding." "I've bled worse," he muttered. "We just need to get back to the ship." But Talai finally spoke. Just one word. "Wait." They turned. A tall shadow stepped from the darkness. Claws, red armor, eyes glowing like fire. One of the alien warlords, the buyer who wanted them. He had followed them, and now they were cornered. The warlord's blade gleamed in the low light, humming softly with a deadly charge. His red armor was stained, old, and heavy, but he moved like a predator, silent, focused, hungry. Ronan stood tall, shielding Sira and Talai behind him. His shirt was soaked in blood from the blast wound, and his breath came sharp and fast, but his hand didn't shake. "Not even a little. You lost your bid," Ronan said flatly. "They're not yours." The warlord chuckled, voice deepened. "Cruel, you broke rules, human. You stole from the council. I can kill you here and drag the twins back as spoils." Talai whimpered behind him. Sira clutched her arm, shaking. Ronan raised his blaster. "Try." The warlord lunged. Ronan fired. Plasma shot hit the warlord's shoulder, but his armor absorbed most of it. He swung his blade in return, just missing Ronan's head. The hiss of energy lit the air. The girls screamed. Ronan dodged, barely. He fired again, this time at the ground between them. Pipes burst. Steam exploded. White fog filled the corridor. Warlord roared in anger. Ronan grabbed both girls and ran. They sprinted down a side tunnel, narrow, rusty, filled with broken service bots and crates. Ronan led them through twist after twist. He knew the shipyard layout better than most aliens. He'd studied every corridor when he first landed. He hadn't planned on using it to escape with 2 frightened alien sisters and a blade-wielding warlord chasing them. But plans never survived reality. They reached a sealed cargo gate. Ronan slammed his palm against the lock. Denied. Again. Denied. Sira looked back. "He's coming." Ronan ripped open the control panel and crossed 2 wires. Sparks. The gate groaned and slowly opened. They rushed in straight into a dark storage hangar filled with massive metal crates. "We'll hide here." Ronan sighed. "Catch our breath." Talai was limping. Her leg still bled from the earlier hit in the pit. Sira helped her sit. Ronan pulled out a med patch and pressed it to her wound. Talai winced but didn't cry. "You're stronger than most soldiers." "I know," Ronan whispered. Talai blinked and gave the smallest smile. Suddenly static crackled in Ronan's ear. Unauthorized life forms detected near Hangar 16. 2 slaves, 1 human. Armed, dangerous. "They found us." Ronan stood quickly. "We're out of time. We can't hide. We run." He turned to the twins. "Once we reach my ship, I can override the launch codes." "We'll jump." "Jump where?" Sira asked. "Anywhere but here," Ronan said. "Earth will take you. I'll make sure of it." Just then metal clanked behind them. The warlord walked through the crates, slow, confident, holding a pulse spear now, longer and sharper than before. His eyes locked onto Ronan. "No more running," he growled. Ronan aimed again, but the warlord hurled the spear fast. It slammed into Ronan's shoulder, knocking him to the ground. Sira screamed. Talai tried to crawl to him. Ronan, bleeding hard, reached for the spear and yanked it out with a cry. The warlord stepped closer, but before he could strike, again Sira grabbed a metal rod from a crate and slammed it into his back. The warlord turned. Furious, Talai stood too, shaking, barefoot, bleeding, but her eyes were burning now. Ronan shouted, "Run!" But neither girl moved. Sira raised the rod again, this time aiming for the warlord's eyes. He blocked her, grabbed her by the throat. Talai screamed, "No!" and threw herself at him, biting his arm. He roared, flinging both aside. And that was the moment Ronan needed. He picked up the warlord's own pulse spear and drove it through his back. The warlord froze. Then fell. Silence filled the hangar. Ronan collapsed beside the girls. "You okay?" Sira coughed. We fought back." "You did more than that," Ronan said, smiling weakly. "You saved me." Minutes later, Ronan half carried, half dragged them to his ship. Alarms were ringing everywhere now. He slapped. "The emergency override. Launch unauthorized. Command codes required." Ronan groaned. "They locked us out." Sira touched the console. "Then what do we do?" He looked at her, then opened a hidden panel beneath the pilot's seat. Inside was something few knew existed anymore, a manual jump drive control. Forbidden's tech, human-made, analog. "I bypassed the lock," he said. "But if it fails, the ship could break apart." Talai stepped forward and held his hand. Sira nodded. "Try." He flicked the switch. The engines hummed. "Warning, launch override activated." They buckled in. The ship shook. Ronan grabbed the throttle. "Hold on." The ship shook violently as it tore through the station's outer ring. Explosions lit up the dark like fireworks from hell. Inside the cockpit, Ronan's hands gripped the controls, blood dripping from his side. Warning lights flashed across. The panels, systems failing, shields weak. Fuel low. Behind him, Sira and Talai were strapped into emergency seats. Talai was pale, too pale. Her injured leg had soaked through the bandages. Sira held her sister tightly, whispering in their native tongue. "She's losing too much," Ronan said, glancing back. "We need medical." "You said Earth would." "Help," Sira replied, voice shaking. "I said I'd try," he corrected, flipping switches. "They'll need time to respond." "But time's not something we have." A siren blared. Long-range missile lock. 3 alien warships were closing in behind them. One of them, the largest, was the Wraithclaw, the personal cruiser of the warlord Ronan had just killed. And now his family wanted revenge. "They're jamming the jump drive," Ronan muttered. He pulled up the a VNAP. Only one option remained. "Fly into the ice field. Are you insane?" Sira shouted. "No one makes it through that." "Exactly why we're going," Ronan said. "They won't follow us into the storm." The ship dove into the frozen nebula, an ancient stretch of space filled with shattered moons, icy debris, and swirling blue mist. Temperatures dropped. Visibility faded. Sharp, ice-coated rocks spun in every direction. "Engines to half," Ronan ordered. Silent running engaged. The alien warships hesitated at the edge, then backed off. They wouldn't risk chasing them inside. For now they were alone, but they weren't safe. Sira leaned forward. "Talai's going unconscious." Ronan grabbed the medkit, opened the side panel, and pulled out a syringe filled with synth blood. "This will help." "For a while," he said, injecting it gently into her arm. Talai twitched, then relaxed. Her breathing steadied. "You've done this before?" Sira asked. Ronan shook his head. "No, but I've watched others do it. I learned fast." Sira looked At him closely, his wounded body, tired eyes, shaking hands. "You shouldn't be risking yourself for us," she whispered. "We're just—" "Stop," Ronan said sharply. "Don't finish that sentence. You are not just anything. You're alive. That's enough." Suddenly, a loud crack echoed through the ship. The hull vibrated. A jagged spike of ice had pierced one of the rear panels. "Emergency pressure loss in cargo bay 2, the computer announced. Ronan jumped up, grabbed a toolkit, and ran toward the back. Sierra followed. "What are you doing?" "Sealing the breach," he shouted over the alarms. "But it's freezing," she cried. "You'll die out there." Ronan paused at the airlock, turned to her. "If I don't go, we all die." He slammed the hatch shut before she could argue. Inside the cargo bay, frost coated everything. Air hissed out of the tear in the hull like a ghost scream. Ronan moved fast, hands numb, vision blurring. He patched the hole with a foam sealant, reinforced it with an emergency weld. Every breath hurt. He dropped to his knees, coughing, but the leak stopped. The pressure stabilized. Back in the cockpit, Sierra helped him inside. His skin was blue, his lips trembling. "You're going to kill yourself," she cried, wrapping a thermal blanket around him. "I'll rest when we're safe," he mumbled, slumping into the seat. Taylor stirred in the back, whispering. Her voice was faint but clear. "He's kind." Sierra froze. "You spoke." "She saved me," Taylor whispered. "He saved us both." Ronan smiled weakly. "Glad you're back, kid." Suddenly, the console blinked. A message from Earth Command appeared. Message received. No immediate extraction. Holding diplomatic contact with Xerexi Council. Situation sensitive. Do not provoke further conflict. Ronan read it twice. "Cowards," he muttered. "They're afraid of war." Sierra looked at him. "What does that mean?" "It means we're alone," he said. "They won't help." "Not yet." Sierra's fists clenched. "Then let's make sure we stay hidden." "I can lose them," Ronan said, pulling up a forgotten route. He had one trick left. A human trick. A legend among smugglers. The Sarin Drift, a narrow crack in spacetime where sensors failed, and no ship could track another. Only humans dared to use it. And only few survived. "If we go there," he said, "they won't find us." "But it might kill us anyway." Sierra stepped closer. "We're with you." He looked at her. She wasn't trembling anymore. The ship changed course. Outside, the stars twisted. Ice turned to fire. The engines roared louder. The ship sped into the rift. The rift shimmered like a torn wound in space, violent, unstable, beautiful. Ronan's ship raced into the glowing tunnel of bent light and broken time. The Sarin Drift wasn't a route, it was a last resort. Human-made charts showed gaps and guesses. Alien ships didn't dare follow, but this time they did. The Wraithclaw charged in behind them, ignoring the danger. 3 smaller cruisers followed, engines flaring hot. The message came again, louder, closer, sharper. "Give them back. You are outnumbered. There is no escape." Ronan wiped blood from his jaw and slammed the cum off. "No more talking." Sierra was beside him, strapped into the co-pilot seat. Her hand hovered over the thruster control, eyes locked on the flickering star charts. Tally sat behind them, pale but awake, watching the void twist outside the window. "Where are we going?" Sierra asked. "Anywhere they're not," Ronan said. "But we need a miracle to get there." The nav system sparked. The drift scrambled readings, locations changed, gravity flipped, time stuttered. The AI tried to calculate an exit point and failed. Error. Navigation impossible. Exit vector lost. "Perfect," Ronan muttered. "Exactly what I needed." He reached under the console and pulled out a metal panel. Behind it was a bundle of thick black wires and a chip no one used anymore. The human override core. Illegal. Obsolete. Terrifying. "What's that?" Sira whispered. Ronan didn't answer. He pulled a blade from his belt and cut through the AI relay lines. Alarms flared. Warning. Manual override initiated. Hull integrity at risk. Guidance offline. He didn't stop. Instead, he connected. The human core, an old system designed by early Earth engineers before the treaty banned free AI. It didn't rely on satellites, maps, or alien tech. It flew by instinct, built on old physics and gravity feelers. Why would anyone use this? Sira asked. Because it doesn't care what the galaxy thinks, Ronan said. It just flies. The ship jolted, then steadied. Outside, the rift twisted wildly. Ice blue flashes tore across the black, like claws ripping through space. The alien cruisers were falling behind. All except the Wraithclaw. It's gaining, Talai whispered. Ronan's fingers danced across the controls. Then, let's give it something to choke on. He opened the rear bay remotely. Inside was his last secret, an old fusion mine, meant to break asteroids, not ships. Hang on, he warned. He timed it. 1, 2, drop. The mine tumbled into the drift. Behind them, the Wraithclaw didn't. Slow. It closed in. Then dash. Boom. The drift exploded with light. Ripples of gravity slammed into both ships. Ronan's ship flipped. Alarms screamed. Sparks flew from every wall. Sira clutched the console. Talai cried out as debris fell from the ceiling. The Wraithclaw spun, but stayed intact. Ronan cursed. That should have cracked them, before he could finish the enemy. Ship fired. Twin plasma bolts ripped into their rear shield. Power dropped. One engine failed. We're going down, Sira gasped. Ronan looked at her. Not yet. He pulled the throttle hard. The human core lit up red, calculating wild turns. Based on gravity pockets. It launched them into a spin, skimming across the drift like a skipping stone. Ronan's eyes stayed locked on the manual readouts. No screens, no maps. Just numbers, instinct, and pain. Talai leaned forward. There, look. Ahead, an exit hole. Small, glowing, flickering, barely big enough for a ship. But it was real. Their only way out. If we miss it, we die, Ronan said. Then don't miss, Sira whispered. The Wraithclaw fired again. The next shot would hit them in 5 seconds. Ronan gritted his teeth. Time for something stupid. He powered down the ship. Everything went dark. The enemy fire passed straight through where they should have been. Using only drift pull, Ronan aimed the ship with microbursts silent. Invisible. No engine flare. No noise. They coasted silently toward the exit. The Wraithclaw hesitated. Sensors couldn't see them. At the last second, Ronan reignited the engines. The ship snapped forward straight into the exit path. The hole collapsed. Right behind them, sealing the drift. Gone. The Wraithclaw couldn't follow. They were free. The ship limped into calm space. Stars blinked quietly now. No sirens, no fire. Just the hum of damaged systems and the slow sound of breath. We made it? Sira asked softly. Ronan exhaled. Yeah, Talai leaned back. They can't reach us now. No, Ronan said. But Earth can. He opened. The COM channel. Earth command. Drift escape successful. 2 rescued, 1 injured. Request landing and medical clearance. Sending evidence of alien abuse and slave trade violations. Silence, then a reply. Understood. Coordinates received. Emergency clearance granted. You've caused waves, Captain Vex. Ronan smiled bitterly. Good. Sira touched his shoulder. You could have given us up 100 times, she whispered. I didn't want a reward, he said. I wanted to prove we're better than them. Talai spoke again, voice steady now. They called humans dangerous. Ronan turned. To her, we are, but not because of our weapons. He looked at the stars. We're dangerous. Because we care. Earth's orbit shimmered ahead like a promise made real. Blue oceans, white clouds, a home Ronan hadn't seen in years. The scars of war hadn't healed yet, but something about this moment felt like the beginning of something better. Inside the medical bay of the landing station, Sira sat beside her sister. Tele slept peacefully, wrapped in clean sheets, her wound finally treated by real doctors. No chains, no collars, no fear. Ronan stood just outside the room, silent. He still wore the same torn coat. His shoulder was bandaged. But the look in his eyes had changed, no longer the cold edge of a soldier. There was something softer there now. Something heavier. A man who had done the impossible. A man who now had a price on his head. 2 hours later, in a secure Earth Council chamber, Ronan sat at a long table across from 3 officials. Behind him stood Sira, strong, proud. She wore a modest Earth uniform, now not as a servant, but as a guest. The council's lead speaker, a gray-haired woman named Hartley, looked over the reports. You entered restricted territory, stole diplomatic property, destroyed Allied ships, and brought illegal fugitives across human lines. Ronan didn't flinch. I saved 2 innocent lives, Hartley nodded slowly. You caused a stir, Captain. The Zerexi High Council is demanding their return. They call the sisters runaways, not survivors. Sira stepped forward. They call us whatever suits them. But we were never free. Not until he came. Hartley raised an eyebrow. And you, young lady, what would you ask of Earth now? Sira's voice didn't shake. Asylum. Not just for us, but for others like us, the ones still in cages, the ones no one sees. There was silence in the chamber. Then Hartley looked at Ronan. You understand what you've done? He nodded. Yes, ma'am. I showed them we don't belong in bed with monsters. Hartley leaned forward. And what if war comes because of this? Ronan stood. Then let it come. At least we'll know which side we're on. Later that night, Ronan sat alone on a rooftop near the port. The sky above Earth was filled with stars, but for the first time in a long time, they didn't feel cold. Footsteps approached. Sira. She wore a soft jacket now, her hair neatly braided. She sat beside him, quietly. They want to make us symbols, she said. You already are, Ronan replied. They also said you could leave, she added. If you want, start over somewhere quiet. Ronan shook his head. They put a bounty on me. Wherever I go, someone's going to try to collect. Then stay, she said. Here, with us, he turned. Why? She met his gaze, eyes steady. Because we don't want to be safe. If it means being alone again. He didn't reply, but he didn't have to. His hand reached out. She took it. Days passed. Then weeks. News spread across the stars. 2 alien sisters freed by a human captain. One voice against an empire. Other stories followed. Ships that once stayed silent began reporting abuse. Stations that ignored the screams of the weak were forced to listen. Even some humans who had profited from slavery were exposed, arrested. And Earth? Earth made its choice. They passed a new law, the Vex Protocol, forbidding alliance with any species involved in forced servitude. It changed everything. Inside a hidden facility near the Mars border, Ronan trained volunteers, human and alien alike. Rescue pilots, smugglers with purpose, engineers who wanted to rebuild instead of destroy. And every evening, when the sun dipped low over the dusty red hills, Sira and Tele joined him. Stronger now, laughing, free. One night, Sira brought him something, an old collar. Rusted, broken. Ronan frowned. Where did you find that? She handed it to him gently. In a box they were going to melt. I kept it. Not to remember the pain, but to remind myself. He looked at her. Remind you of what? She smiled. That I met one man who looked at it and said no. He placed the collar on the ground. Then crushed it with his boot. Later, Talai painted a symbol on the side of their new ship, a bird, its wings made of fire, rising from a chain. No name. No flag, just a message. Freedom doesn't need permission. It needs courage. But deep in uncharted space, far beyond Earth's borders, an encrypted message blinked to life in a dark room. A shadowed figure read the report. Ronan's face. Syrah's. Tyla's, the word survivors. The figure smiled and said softly, "One rebel is annoying, but 100? 1,000? They leaned forward. "Let's watch the humans burn the chains off the galaxy."